You heard that right. It's the NBA Slate Starter Podcast Show. I'm Rayen Patnaik, alongside with Eric, to talk about Wednesday's 5-game NBA DFS slate. We're wrapping up a Tuesday 10-game slate where the likes of Andre Drummond and Russell Westbrook carried lineups to the top of the leaderboard. Surprise performances from Andrew Wiggins and a Jamal Murray late scratch led Monte Morris to a critical spot start where some lineups ended up taking down the massive tournament on DraftKings today. Eric, how are you doing today, and how did Tuesday DFS go for you?
The Pelicans are losing by 40, so I didn't have the greatest day that's ever been had. So I am so ready for Wednesday. I was gonna say, I said 10 games slates were my sweet spot. I think 6-game slates are really where it's at. So excited for today and to move on to the next one, because wow, between Blake Griffin going down, between Drummond going off, and there's just a lot that I got wrong. So on to the next.
Yeah, the Blake Griffin concussion bit me pretty well, but you know what it is? On to the next day. We might as well get started right off the bat. At the point guard position, here we go. No other than Luka Doncic coming in at 11,400 on FanDuel, followed by Trae Young, Kyrie Irving, all above 9K, and Dame Lillard playing against the Clippers. Do I say some sort of beef that always has been stirred up between that matchup? Talk to me about these studs, 9K above on FanDuel, and who stands out to you, and are you buying that Dame Lillard Clippers narrative?
Yeah, a little bit. Dame Lillard, 9,200. I mean, he's at least the fourth priced point guard over there, whereas opposed to on DraftKings, you go over there and you see 10K, and he doesn't really have the three games or box scores to really go to proof for that number. So FanDuel, you'd expect his ownership to be much higher, but that's definitely where I would want the ownership or to take some darts on that. Over on DraftKings, Luka Doncic 10-7 feels pretty low. We've continued to see the usage is there. Everything you want is there. And eventually one of these games are going to pop. He's been sitting in the mid 40s. And we saw last year with Porzingis out, he was popping 60, 65 burgers constantly. So 10-7 is still a number that I'm not too worried about paying there. If I go up there between those two, I'm definitely going to Luka on DraftKings. But the savings of $2,200 on FanDuel, that's a hefty discount. So Dame will be my preferred option probably over on FanDuel.
Yeah, and I like Dame. He always does get up to play against Paul George. They do have a back and forth going back to when Paul George was in OKC, when Dame waved off OKC in that Game 5 buzzer beater. And then at the bubble, we already know what happened there. Those two went back and forth when Dame Lillard missed that critical free throw. But after that critical free throw miss, Lillard was unconscious in the bubble, in the sense he just did not miss after that. Value options currently on FanDuel that I'm taking a look at. Drew Holiday's at 6,400. He went off today against Milwaukee, as Milwaukee broke the NBA record for most threes hit in a single NBA game in 29. And I believe Holiday himself hit 6 of them. I think there'll be some recency bias ownership that's mixed in, but 6,400 is a nice price tag. Other options to consider: Tyus Jones, I was hoping sites would misprice him by any chance, but they priced him up pretty well. He's 5,800 on FanDuel. He's 5,200 on DK. Another option that I like is Bogdanović in Atlanta. He's yet to have that spike game. He did put up 34 points against Detroit, fantasy points that is. And I'll take 34 fantasy points at 4,800 any day of the week from Bogdanović. That's what's sticking out to me in the value position. Anyone else right now, as we take a first look at this position, that you like at their specific price?
There's a little bit of recency bias that's kicking in just because I was watching this game a second ago, but Reggie Jackson started to get a little bit of run for the Clippers. And I'm not sure. I mean, he was getting run before the blowout happened. They were only up like 5-6, and Reggie started going there a little bit towards the end. He's 4K over on DraftKings. What's his price on FanDuel? It's got to be near the min. But that's somebody, again, we're going to be scrimping pennies down there on point guard. There's so many good spend up options between Luka, Trae Young, Kyrie, Dame, and then DeJounte Murray, 7,300. Derek White continues to be out. And then on DraftKings, his price is 6,100. So between him and then Tyler Hero at 5,400, who came through, was the one piece of Miami to actually play well today. They're going right back at it again with Milwaukee tomorrow on a back-to-back. So So we'll see if he can provide a little bit of value there too on DraftKings.
Yeah, onto the shooting guard position we go. And on FanDuel, it's led by DeMar DeRozan, who's off to a strong start over there in San Antonio. CJ McCollum, Jimmy Butler, monitor that injury situation with his ankle. Chris Middleton, Paul George. It's kind of whoever is priced above 7K and higher. I like Paul George at 7,600 yet again. I know he picked up some late swap ownership after Kawhi was ruled out, and he didn't get there because the Clippers pretty much blew off the doors of Minnesota today. And Paul George at 7,600, I like that against Portland. I do think he's going to step it up in terms of purely on the narrative basis. And at that price tag, I like PG-13 quite a bit. He stands out to me at the shooting guard position as well. Who stands out to you on DK at shooting guard and on FanDuel right now?
Can we talk about the fact that Dylan Brooks is 6,700 coming off of being 3,700 in the last slate that he was on? So I'm going to call that a little bit of a price bump. Just saw that, made me chuckle to see somebody get 3K inflated value there. So there's that. And Paul George 7,600 is still just a complete smash as long as Kawhi's out. We kind of have a similar thing. It's almost like the last two slates combined where we have LeBron and AD at that 5:30 game in San Antonio. And then you go to the 7 o'clock game, you have Portland and the Clippers. So we're going to be waiting on Kawhi news, waiting on Anthony Davis and LeBron James again. And so keep some roster spots open as you're going down the line here. That's just something to talk about from the full slate perspective. But Paul George, if Kawhi's out, 8,500 on DraftKings, no problem going up there and paying for that. He obviously got to rest a little bit more than he was anticipating today. So happy to go right back there as well.
Yeah, other value options to consider on FanDuel. I like Devontae Graham's price tag at 5,900. Value's going to be tough at that shooting guard position as we take a look at things right now. On DK, you could potentially take a few shots at a 4,400 Cam Reddish. I like that price tag. If you want to get a little cute, there's Desmond Bane in Memphis, their first round pick at $3,300. With Ja Morant's injury, I expect Tyus Jones and Desmond Bane to pick up some additional minutes for sure. But they got some tough shoes to fill in for Ja Morant. Value is tough at that position, but you could take potentially consider a 3,900 Jeff Teague. I know that does not sound fun whatsoever after what he did to us on Christmas, but $3,900 against Memphis. Jeff Teague's coming in at a nice price tag over there on DK. Any value options that you're considering as we take a look at things right now?
Yeah, we've seen multiple times where Tyus Jones at point guard. Again, I'm just referring back to this for the sake of who I'm going to be looking at. We saw Tyus Jones get a huge bump. He played 34 minutes, played pretty much the entire second half after the injury that's going to keep him out for that's going to keep Ja Morant out for 3 to 5 weeks. But Grayson Allen, even over there on shooting guard, 3,600 on DraftKings. On a 6-game slate, there's going to be some spots where if you're trying to find some low on plays that are sub 10%, you're gonna have some hairy spots to go to. And so Desmond Bane, though, makes a lot more sense at 3,300. I like that play. I think that makes a little bit more sense. I didn't even consider that. And then what was the one other person that I was looking? Oh, yeah. Lonnie Walker went up to 5,100 on FanDuel, but he's playing 34, 35 minutes in a lot of these games. If he could just have a hot shooting night, he's somebody to take a couple of shots on in some spots. I like his price tag a lot more over on DraftKings, though, at 4,400. But the minutes are there, the opportunities there. Him and Keldon Johnson, Keldon Johnson's 5,700 on DraftKings. No, thank you. But I'm happy to take a couple of shots on a hot shooting Lonnie Walker night.
Yeah, I think Lonnie Walker is a fine GPP option, and obviously it'll be interesting to take a look at what ownership comes in at. And one way you'll get access to our ownership projections is we got a brand new promo for you guys. And I'm very excited to share this with you because I think it's honestly the best promo you'll ever see in all of DFS for the year of 2021. So get in on this right now. So starting right now, as you listen to this, Awesemo has released a new promo. Use the promo code 2021. You'll get 21 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum only for $20. So $20 will get you 21 days of Awesemo Plus Platinum. So this will give you access to NBA, NFL, MMA, hockey's about to start up, all for 21 days. and you'll get access to all the platinum product just for $20. So we're really excited for you guys to check our product out, get to use all the premium tools, elevate your DFS game to the next level. And more importantly, we want you to start winning and stop really guessing using our products and tools. So you can find that promo at awesemo.com/promos. Make sure to check it out. And we're excited for you guys to sign up and using this promo. On the small forward position, we go. At small forward, going to be led by LeBron James, KD, Kawhi Leonard. Keep an eye on that Kawhi bloody mouth situation, as he did not play yet again today. I kind of think he's going to play tomorrow against the Trailblazers. But let's talk about LeBron, KD, and Kawhi. I like all three of those quite a bit. I like KD quite a bit at the 9,500 price tag on FanDuel, especially. As small forward is usually a spot where we're looking for value, but we got some three studs that we can target there. On DK, you can definitely consider LeBron. Tatum comes in over there. Talk to me about the small forward position overall.
Well, when you can't really discern between three plays, it's always going to behoove you to take the cheapest. So 9,500, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James. It's really hard to kind of discern between the three. So taking the price discount makes a lot of sense. But the ownership is also going to come with it. So depending on what site you're on, I mean, on DraftKings, LeBron is going to be lower owned for sure Kawhi would be higher owned than LeBron if Kawhi were to go. I think on FanDuel, Kevin Durant, 9,500, just having access to him at a small forward position, it's a great spot to be at there. As you're like starting to look down here too, Jalen Brown, 8,000. That's a pretty hefty tag here for him there, 7,300 on DraftKings. So really pay attention to between the sites. We continue to say it over and over and over again, but make sure that you're getting your exposure mostly to the spots where the prices give you the best chance to like increase your exposure and have access to a higher ceiling just by being able to jam more studs into your lineup. And FanDuel is going to generally let us do that the most. So finding value on DraftKings is going to be better suited at small forward than some of these guys when you have so many options that can bust out a ceiling between LeBron, Kawhi, KD, and maybe Jalen Brown.
Yeah, someone priced cheaper than Jalen Brown is Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward has just started to look more comfortable in Charlotte. And it's not saying I'm saying he looks like Utah Gordon Hayward. He was an all-star in Utah. But just he seems more comfortable on that team, in that offense, in his role over there. Value options to consider over on FanDuel, it's a bit tough. I mean, if Jimmy Butler is out again, we can go back to Tyler Hero at 4,500. Dorian Finney-Smith is at 4,200. DiVincenzo comes in at 4,400. Even Tim Hardaway Jr. at 5,100. All seem like people that we could go for value on FanDuel. Over there on DK, DFS is also another option at 4,500. Derrick Jones Jr. is playing a ton of minutes over there. He's priced at 3,600 on DK. I know he doesn't put up anything exciting in terms of box score wise, but the Derrick Jones Jr. could get there for you at 3,600, where right now where things stand, there is not much value under 4K. So that's what's standing out to me in terms of value. I'm going to be avoiding Timothy Luwawu-Cabarrot this time around with the return of KD and Kyrie. Talk to me about TLC. Are you still interested at that 4K price tag with the return of Brooklyn's two mega studs?
I'm not. You could maybe see you could have an argument that Spencer Dinwiddie's absence can maybe bolster it, that the fact that he showed out and played great could get him some more minutes. But 4K, even on even that small price hike, is a spot that if the popularity is going to be there, if he's going to be low owned, sure, go ahead and take some shots. But I doubt that that's going to be the case after what he did on Monday. Somebody that I'm considering, and again, I always get nervous about saying these things because there's so much that's news dependent. We're talking about this the night before. Talen Horton-Tucker, if LeBron's out, 3,200 on DraftKings. That's a spot that I can't see that I wouldn't want to have some interest. In some of the blowout run, he played a lot better against Minnesota, played the 21 minutes, started to look a little bit more like his preseason self. I'm not like sitting here saying smash all in, he's my value guy if LeBron's out automatically, but God, 3,200 is a pretty low number on a slate that looks pretty scarce in value at the moment. So just keep him in the back of your mind. And if LeBron's out, just be ready to fire. That's kind of the way that I'm thinking about that.
Yeah, that's an interesting, really, really important the last 2 days. It's going to be important yet again tomorrow. Onto the power forward position we go. There's a huge price difference in DeMar DeRozan on DK, on FanDuel, besides their positions being different. DeRozan has small forward and power forward eligibility. He's coming in at $6,900 over there. DeRozan's starting to take quite a bit more threes in the San Antonio offense now. That's exciting for DeMar, just because DeMar's been the king of the mid-range for the last decade or so. If DeMar's going to expand his game, he's going to get that 3-point bonus over there on DK. I like that price tag at 6,900. Other options that we should be considering: a sub 10K Anthony Davis. Giannis is 10,800. KD comes in at 8,400 on DraftKings. You got to be kidding me, DK. Come on. Kevin Durant deserves a much higher price tag.
Yep.
And John Collins, 7,100. There's some nice options on the power forward position, specifically on DK. Talk to me about DK and some FanDuel options that you like right now.
DK knows we've all had a rough year. So DK wants to give us some freebies towards the end of the year, just that it's like, here's your play. Enjoy it. So yeah, DeMar DeRozan, 6,900. That's a low number. Getting down there to some of these other spots. Yeah, Robert Covington, 4,700. Just, I don't even know what to say about that. That's just so beautiful. I know that he burned me. He burned a lot of you today. Over on FanDuel, Giannis. He's a 2 fantasy point per minute guy. He's, I think it was 1.85 fantasy points per minute on DK last year. But this is just another blowout situation. This is nothing to do with them restricting his minutes in the spot. They were up 30 at the end of the first half, and it just, there was nowhere for, like, you knew you were dead if you had Giannis in your lineup, like right out of the gate there. So in another spot, same team, same matchup. Miami, we talked about everything there yesterday, where it's a team that's played him pretty well, but I just don't care. I'm happy to go right back there. I get it, but 11K over on FanDuel is still not enough for me to get away. So I'll be going there. Anthony Davis, if LeBron's back again, we're just seeing those guys kind of neutral, like 10-2 is just too high paired with LeBron in this spot. It's tough for me to get there. Jason Tatum's just playing so well too. We saw another 40-minute performance from him tonight. I think he finished 51.2 FanDuel points. So great. I'm happy to go to Jason Tatum there at 9,200. So another great spend up spot over there with Giannis and Tatum over on FanDuel. And on DraftKings, I'm definitely still looking at the 10-8 Giannis number, and he'll be difficult to pair with Doncic if we don't get a bunch of value there, but that's still something I'm going to be very interested in.
Yeah, and you mentioned Robert Covington on DK. I like Covington on FanDuel as well at 5,200. I like Brandon Clark at 4,600. Clark did play 29 minutes. Granted, that game did go to...
I think he had all 5 minutes of overtime. So
Yes.
I think it was 24 minutes or 23 and a half minutes, I think is what I saw. So I was thinking about him too, but he's basically the fourth or fifth option on the floor at that time. So he's spiked ceilings before, so I'm not saying no.
Yeah, and the way things stand right now, you could even potentially consider a 3,600 Maxi Kleber. It's a risky play, but when you're looking for value at $3,600, sometimes he could get you there. So that's kind of rounding out the power forward position. It seems like a position that I'll be paying up for the way things stand right now. Obviously, things can change. And make sure to monitor all the news. You can find that at the Twitter handle at Awesemo NBA, as you'll find all the news from beat reporters from various teams leading up to lock tomorrow, which will give you a huge edge in changing your lineups as soon as news comes out. Onto the center position we go, and center is kind of weak tomorrow. There's not many studs on the center outside of Bam and Jonas, and Nurkic lead the way on FanDuel. Over there on DK, we got Giannis, who has center eligibility. AD comes in with center eligibility. Bam, Jonas, Nurkic, Don Collins, LaMarcus Aldridge is $6,300, but it's a tough LA matchup. Aldridge hasn't looked the greatest to start off this year. So talk to me about the center position, and is there anyone that stands out to you that you're going to be excited to target tomorrow in our lineups?
Yeah, a lot of times when I'm building cash or when I'm building 3 max entry stuff, I'm generally trying to play 4 centers. I'll play 2 power forwards. I'll play a power forward and then a power forward in the forward spot, and then I'll jam 2 centers. This is kind of like the opposite, where I'm looking at maybe playing 4 power forwards on some of these spots because of how much better that position is. And actually, small forward in general is really, really strong over on DK at that top tier too. Just looking at Kawhi and Tatum and such. So 7,600 though at BAM, that's still a great price. I'm just going to kind of call today a wash, not really think too much about it, and just go right back to BAM there. 8,200 on FanDuel. I'm still fine with that too. The assist rates there, everything I talked about yesterday, it's same matchup, same spot. We just hope that game stays a little bit closer so that we can get a full run of minutes for all of those guys. So I'm looking down there in this mid-range. It's kind of gross on FanDuel. Like Nurkic, 6,700. I was there 2 nights ago. He doesn't look that involved offensively right now. He's just kind of like on the floor, filling up the space. So not super ecstatic about that. As long as CJ McCollum's playing well, him and Dame are just going to eat up so much of the usage on that team. So I guess I can just kind of go pass on that. Is there anybody in this mid-range that you're kind of looking at? Zubac just got a price hike to 5,100 on DK. He played decently well tonight and is starting to see some minutes, but can't really pay that for him. Is there anybody you're looking at there?
It's tough, and it'll be interesting to monitor the news with Capella and what his minutes limit will look like tomorrow against Brooklyn. But that's an option. Jared Allen is getting a few more minutes than DeAndre Jordan on FanDuel. He can get there with blocks, but right now it's tough, and it's a tough position to gauge right now, especially even with ownership. Who's going to garner a ton of ownership there? So I'm going to have to make some judgment calls based off that, and if any news breaks. But it's going to be a tough position, especially on FanDuel, where you have to roster one at least, and it's going to be important to get it right tomorrow, especially over there. And on DK, it doesn't seem like a way things stand where I'll be using my utility position as a center. But obviously, things can change. It'll be interesting to see what EMAC writes up in the Cash Building Blocks article for tomorrow's slate. Keep an eye on that article. And another article you should definitely take a look at is Adam Ship My Money DFS's Deeper Dive article, where he'll give the most in-depth breakdown in the DFS industry about all 6 games tomorrow. So make sure to check that out. It's going to be free this year, so definitely do not want to miss out on that. But any final thoughts, Eric, before we jump into the Listener League and the details behind that?
Yeah, no, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to talk some Listener League. I think everything went final for us now.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, so I finished middle of the pack. I finished 8th out of the 20, so no cash for Eric, but pretty nice lineup from the winner. Sploush, Sploush, had Westbrook, George, Wiggins. Wiggins at 49.75. What an outing from him there. Michael Porter Jr., who had just a massive game, 51.5. Muscala, Peyton, Heald, and Satoransky to round out the lineup. Muscala is the only person so Westbrook and Muscala, the only two above 15%. And then Paul George, if you had the spot open there, you made that pivot, even though he didn't necessarily have the fantasy outing that you were looking for. But overall, a really well-constructed lineup, and congratulations to Splash. I think tomorrow we're going to try to go for a 30. We sold out the Listener League at 7 a.m. on the Pacific time. So I'm excited to see if we can't get 30 or maybe 40. Let's go $2, 40 max, and good luck to you. We'll see you out there, and God, I can't talk anymore. I'm done. That's all I have for you.
Make sure to follow Eric at Eric Lindquist, as he'll tweet out the link to tomorrow's Listener League. And you can follow me at Rynpak, RYNPAK. But most importantly, make sure to follow at Awesemo_com to be on top of all the content and tools that we provide at this site. And thank you so much for your support. Make sure to subscribe to that YouTube channel. And we hope that someone takes on one of those contests. Good luck, everybody.